everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Forum BX257, here to bring you another 1980s and 90s G.I. Joe tour review. And today I'll be taking a look at Cobra's second battle android trooper, the 1991 BAT, better known to collectors as the BAT version 2 or BAT Mark II. Now, this version of the BAT makes its first comic book appearance in the Old Movie Comic Round G.I. Joe in issue number 130, and makes its first animated appearance in the second season Deke animated G.I. Joe television episode titled The Eliminator. This will be a Halloween episode, so if I remember, I might edit some jump scares in here, so just be warned. Starting with the BAT's accessories first, we might as well just get this one out of the way. And that is the battle stand that the figure comes with. Halfway through 1991, all the figures came with battle stands as a standard. 1991 and 1992 figures mostly came with these black plastic battle stands. Now, some collectors and dealers really don't consider the battle stand to be part of the accessory count, but just to let you know that the BAT did come with one. And now to remove the modular missile launcher, which is what it's called on the contents list on the card. As you can see, it just has a regular back peg there, which can be plugged into, well, virtually any other G.I. Joe figure, really. I'll just remove this piece here. And according to the contents list on the card, this is a grenade launcher. I'm not sure which way is up or down, but as you can see, that's a hole which is perfect for putting onto his arm here, just by removing his hand. Unfortunately, it's only the one hand on the right side. And you just plug it right in there. As for the modular missile launcher itself, it does have some storage, 2 extra pegs, as well as a hole on there. So you can put the hand mostly on the side where this trigger piece is. Unfortunately, if you try to put the grenade launcher on this side, it's way too long and it sort of gets tangled up on the trigger there. So really this side peg is really only for the hand, even though they are the same size peg. Of course, there's a hole on this piece here, so you can pop it on just like so. And you can either hold it underslung like that, or you just twist it around. You can have it over like this. Of course, the trigger, you just push it in and the missile launches out with some force, really. The missile itself is unique, and you only get one of these for the figure. Besides the spring-loaded missile launcher, there is one other gimmick that the figure has, and that is this little lenticular panel, where if you look at it and you sort of angle the figure, you can see a little bit of movement on that little sticker piece. Unfortunately, I don't think it's really as good as the 1986 version, but I'll get to comparing that a bit later. Honestly, the only movement I can really see are these orange pieces. I guess the blue pieces kind of move a little bit as well, but it's a little bit hard to see. Overall, I do find the new BATs to be far more rounded, almost organic in its way of looking, as opposed to how the 1986 version looked. And while I do say that it looks very rounded, almost human-like, it does have a lot of really nice little, almost mechanical detail stamped into it. It's really hard to see, unfortunately, because most of this detail is on the black plastic, and you really do have to sort of catch the light in order to see that. But on the thighs, it's kind of noticeable. And on the back, where you'd often not look at, but it has these little riveted panels here. Again, it's on this very rounded, very human-like shape. Normally, I let you, the viewer, read the file card at your leisure, but there are at least 2 things I want to point out about this. And one of them is the fact that this is never referred to as a BAT version 2 or Mark II. It's only referred to as a new BAT, acknowledging the one from 1986, but also saying that this specifically does not have the logic or memory systems of the original 1986 version. Sure, it has upgraded weapon systems, but it's basically treated as a machine gun on legs, as it says right there. The other thing that I thought was very fascinating was the line about how this thing is deployed out of an airplane without any parachutes, and the delivery system was meant to sort of demoralize the troops that it happened to face. That is actually from here, the order of battle. And this was actually written by Larry Hama from his original notes. Now, as you can see in his original notes for 1986, the BAT, that is exactly how he had written it here. So that line is actually meant to be in the 1986 file card, but wound up being reused here, the 1991 version. And now to compare the 1991 BATs to its predecessor from 1986, and you can see right away that there is a clear lineage. The dark clothes, the sort of, well, I guess it should be yellow on most BATs, but on mine it's a little bit dark, so it almost looks orange. So that goes very well with how the 1991 version is presented. It also has a sort of blank face, as well as that open mechanical chest sticker. The removable arms is also something which is actually carried over from the 1983 Battle Armor Snake, but that is, of course, something which is attached only to the right hand, just like it is on the new version. Now, I can understand why some people who really like the 1986 BATs really don't like the 1991 because of all the strange fancy colors on this one. But I can kind of see where they were going with this. Yes, this thing has a lot of mechanical metal silver on it, really hammering home the fact that this is a robot and not any type of man in a suit or a cyborg. It is purely a robot, purely a mechanical being. Whereas here, you sort of really can't tell, but you also have to understand that throughout the 80s, metal was a very mechanical, very military material to use. Whereas by the 90s, we had composite materials. So I think the green and the orange actually kind of represents a move away from being a metallic being. Maybe something made out of fiberglass or composite, or maybe just straight up plastic. That was used in military hardware at the time. And honestly, it does have some improvements, but also some detractions as well. Sort of in-universe, I mean, not just how the action figure can be evaluated. And you can see that the 1986 BAT has a really large opening. This thing is almost like a target, where you can see the internals. But on the new one, it's actually smaller. So that's a smaller target for you to hit. I think that was meant to be an improvement. But you can also see on the file card, it also says that this thing has less logic circuits than the original, and it was basically a machine gun on legs. And I think one thing that represents that the best is, well, how big the head is. On the BAT 1986 original, the head is rather big, saying that, well, maybe it has more computing power. And on the new one, the head is really small and actually kind of flat, meaning that that head might just be ornamental there, and most of the computing power is just right there in the chest. Whenever I try to do a comparison or an opposite number to a figure, I try to limit that to a figure within the same year or 1 year before or 1 year after it. So when I thought about who would go up against a BAT, a heavily armored or inorganic being, I would think that you would need heavy ordnance, like something that 1991 Heavy Duty would carry. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, this is also supposed to be a high-tech weapon system. So I thought maybe a high-tech person with not regular ordnance, but actually energy weapons might be a good opposite number. So I thought maybe the 1991 Sci-Fi with his laser guns would be a good matchup against the BATs. But what do you think? If you're looking for a 1991 BATs on the aftermarket, it always seems like there's collectors who really prefer Army Building the 1986 version, And I think that attitude is slowly going away, whereas more 1990s collectors are coming into the market and driving the price of this particular version of the BATs up. Because, let's face it, it has all the same features as a 1986 BAT. It may look a little bit different, but they're the same features right there, with the same vulnerabilities as well. And at least one thing is really hard to find on the BATs, and that is, of course, the lenticular sticker. Now, of course, there's a lot of people out there selling the Photoshop custom versions of these things, which, of course, they are lenticular. They don't move when you angle them. But they're out there for those who are missing that chest sticker. I don't know why the chest sticker is always missing on not only the 1986 BATs, but on this guy as well. Maybe kids peel them off, or maybe the glue gets hardened and crusty over time. This thing just pops off. I don't really know. But the fact of the matter is that not only do we have the chest sticker, but some sellers, they don't bother with the black stand either. But like I said, it really depends on whether the collector actually wants the black stand or not. These are fairly easy to find on the aftermarket, actually, just a whole bag of them for like $1 or something like that. So it's not something to really worry about the value. But yeah, this thing used to be a fairly cheap figure for a very long time, and now it's really hard to find one for, I would say, a very average price. It's above average, certainly, with all of its pieces intact, especially with the sticker on there. That really drives the price up, unfortunately. And today I'll be taking a look at and that is the black battle stand this figure comes with. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind the scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.